We'll just start right off the gate. Jordan over there, we're not doing any video today, so if you're on YouTube, sorry about that. But I wish I kind of was, so you could see what I'm seeing right now. Jordan's bedridden with the COVID, and he's got his like laptop like on his gut, and he's like laying down, and he's
it's a
using
flattering
like his
view
phone.
for sure.
Like you got like cords running out of you, like you're a fucking from an H.R. Geiger music video or something. It's cool, but yeah. So
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean they've got me hooked up to the. They got me hooked up to the ventilator, and it's keeping my lungs pumping. And I just, anything for my fans. I'm there for them.
For the half a dozens of yous.
Everyone in podcast land, I love you, and I will miss you when I'm gone.
Right. I only preface this because hopefully it doesn't even matter. Hopefully everything sounds really good and it's crisp and solid. But
if we didn't even mention it, it'd be seamless. No one would even know.
Hopefully. So if there's any weird things, it's because Jordan's got an unusual setup. I'm solid over here. I mean, I edit everything, and I'll just probably either make it perfect or I'll laze out probably.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I'm just making your life harder, and so everyone out there in the world, you'll do some magic tweaks, and they'll be like, "Whoa, it's so seamless. Everything's perfect."
I'm such a lazy sack of shit. So I literally am just like denoiser good enough. Export. Anyway, so this is a podcast. Actually, is why I mentioned it. This is in fact the Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast.
I like that. I like you really had to dig deep in that one.
In fact, believe it or not. So it's cozy movie month. We're reaching the end of the year. I've been wanting some more kind of laid back, chill vibes to bring down my blood pressure as we go into the holidays. Mostly working. It's been good. So weirdly enough, I never would have thought Tarantino wouldn't necessarily fit that bill. But today we're watching our third Tarantino movie, I think.
At least.
I think so. Because it was Django and then Reservoir Dogs and then this, I think. We never did Inglourious.
We've done... Oh my God, I swear we did.
No, dude, you're losing you got COVID brain, man. Because we
do this every single time. We just do this every single time.
I know. Right, I haven't seen Inglourious Bastards in a hot minute, which is too bad. I need to rectify that. But no, today you clicked on the fucking thing. You see the thumbnail. We're doing what's the other one? The new one. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It is.
It is truly so.
This isn't your grandpa's Hollywood, baby.
Yeah, well, it is.
This is Tarantino's. This is Tarantino's grandpa's Hollywood.
Exactly. So let me pull it up because I'm a good boy.
Oh yay! You wrote a synopsis.
I did. Well, I got so sick of trying to ramble together synopsis, so I'm like, I should make an effort. So I'm trying to do that, but. Sometimes easier said than done. Oh, nope, that's a GURP sheet on my Google Docs.
No, dude, we're not talking about GURPS.
All right. Okay,
Leave it at the door.
I know, so listen up. Everyone shut up. Mom, Cindy, this is for you who haven't watched the movie but are still somehow made it this far into the podcast. So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Rick Dalton, an actor who fears his best days may be behind him, and his stunt double / assistant / best friend Cliff Booth navigate Hollywood in 1969. Cliff is struggling to stay relevant. Rick is struggling to stay relevant, and Cliff is just living his best life with his pit bull Brandy. In the Hollywood Hills, living next door to Rick are Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate. As Rick debates shooting spaghetti westerns in Europe, Sharon lives the joyful, carefree life of a rising star of the era. She goes to parties and rubs shoulders with the hippest cats of the industry. Meanwhile, Cliff keeps running into the same hippie girl around town and eventually picks her up hitchhiking. He takes her out to an old movie ranch he used to work on at the edge of town, where a congregation of unwashed youths gather. It's a bit tense, and sensing their possible nefarious nature, Cliff leaves. 6 months pass. Rick and Cliff go to Italy and shoot a few movies, and Rick even manages to pick up a wife while there. They head back knowing this is the end of an era. Sharon, as pregnant as can be, tries to survive the heat with her friend Jay. Unbeknownst to them, a few hippies from the compound are targeting Sharon and her friends. Their cult-like bloodlust is redirected, however, when drunk Rick draws their attention. Cliff, also drunk, drops some acid and walks his dog. When he returns, the 3 knife-wielding hippies accost him, as well as Rick's fancy new Italian wife. Drunk and high, Cliff is able to dispatch them with the help of a good girl, Brandy, but not before getting stabbed and passing out. The last remaining intruder, badly wounded, bursts through the sliding glass door, interrupting Rick's drunken pool time. He sees the gun and grabs the flamethrower from his shed and quickly dispatches the assailant. The cops come and Cliff is taken to the hospital, but everyone is pretty much okay, except for the hippies, of course. Out in the street, Cliff runs into Sharon's friend Jay, who has come down to check out all the commotion. Sharon invites Rick up and they are all happy and alive. Nothing but bright futures ahead of them. As the title fades in, reminding us this is all just a fairy tale of what could have been.
Yeah.
That's
what
the gist.
Could have been.
I mean, there's a lot of, that's the thing. I think, I want to get your first impressions, but like the half of that synopsis was literally the last half hour of the movie, because so much of the first hour and a half to 2 hours is sort of just like character development and like them living their lives. There's like foreshadowing and stuff, but it's just like, it's about like, Rick's struggle to like be relevant and his own problem with being an actor, and Cliff trying to be the buddy that he is and maintain his job and just chill out and be cool, I guess.
I mean, it's an amazing movie, like depicting the relationships you build in Hollywood and that world, and like how tight knit the circle is, and how everybody kind of knows each other's like fucking, drama and like kind of their deepest desires. But like, there's only a select few that know like your true side and your true self, and like without them, you would kind of fall apart.
Right,
and
that's why
this is definitely a fairy tale, which is fantastic.
That's why it's such an interesting chemistry between Rick and Cliff, and it's like their friendship, and it doesn't really kind of fruition to like they're started as like employer employee, and then at the end he finally calls him a friend. But earlier on, he even says like. Rick is like, that's fucking Roman Polanski next door. I'm one pool party away from getting put in the next Roman Polanski film. And like it's like who you know what I mean? It's like Sharon Tate doesn't realize that she's like, she knows all the cool cats, but she's just shown in this movie anyway to be so like carefree and chilling and stuff. But like Rick is like, he doesn't really have any friends other than Cliff. You know what I mean? It's like that's why it's like you say, it's very Hollywood in that way, because it's like. It's not until he could be a great actor. That little girl can think he's the best actor alive, but until he rubs shoulders with fucking Sharon Tate, who is now his neighbor, that it's like, that might be the thing. I don't know. That's who you know what I mean?
Well, and I do, yeah, I mean, it definitely, yes. It's who you know, and then what relationships you cultivate. Like, I do think it's interesting when, well, here, let's start with first impressions, actually, because this is probably third time you've seen it, if not more?
I feel like I've seen it 4 times. I feel like this is my 4th time, because I saw it in theaters.
You saw it in theaters.
Really liked it. Saw it right when it came out, and then I think I watched, right when it came out on video after that.
Yeah.
Watched it again with Mary. And then I think I watched it again, like last year, so 3rd or 4th. Okay.
So you've definitely had the like appropriate amount of viewings. I feel like I'm a viewing behind, because I'm 2 viewings behind technically. This is my first viewing, so I've never seen this movie outside of today when I finished it. So I have it like it's like super fresh, and so I'm kind of, I don't know, it's, it doesn't really do it justice, because like my initial reaction is kind of on the flaws, if you will, or just kind of like on the tone. It's the tonal shifts from just a Quentin Tarantino movie, where like this movie feels like he's trying to do so many genres. I almost feel like it's like he wanted to do another Western, but he was like, well, I want to do a Western and I want to do martial arts exploitation film, and I want to do Scorsese style going over like somebody's life in Hollywood, and like doing this kind of like, it's the deeper seated underbelly
what better
narration,
setting than to be able to do all that stuff,
Hollywood.
other than like,
right.
Because that's the
but
Hollywood is
what
a
I'm getting at
land of fairy tales. You know what I mean?
It is. No, exactly. And it's like, it's cool. Like when they spend time on sets, like I love it and I'm enthralled, but it's like when they spend like 40 minutes of him doing the Western and it's like, I think it's when I'm starting to get invested into a scene, into like a thread, it's cut and it's, you know, and it goes to something different. And I think that's my first impressions. I think watching it again, now that I know the pacing, I'll definitely be able to enjoy it more, or at least, you know, get more out of it. And so that would be my only critique, is that its editing was kind of whack. But
that's, you know, it's fair, because it's like, that's the thing. I was baffled. I feel like I was taking crazy pills, because I watched it last night. And I was looking on like Letterboxd and like Reddit and just kind of getting like, I was like, what is everyone like? I know this film is pretty divisive. I remember it being pretty divisive.
Yeah, it's pretty polarizing, yeah.
And like a lot of people's takes were fucking insane to me. But the biggest thing I realized is like, it was similar to my own interpretation when I first saw it, is pretty much the same as everyone else. First time watching it, it's all about expectations. Like Quentin Tarantino is a household name. Right, you see the 9th movie by Quentin. Your angle right now. It's like he's like slowly melting. No, you're cool. You're cool. Get comfy, bro. You're good.
I'm in this fucking how this bed is set up. I'm like, I feel like a geriatric patient right now. Like I am.
You look like one. I like it.
I'm leaning back. Hey. I feel like I got like hospital socks on, and I'm just like, I'm back here like.
All I need is your voice, bro. It's all good.
I know. That's why we're not doing video, so I can just be over here like fucking globbing out everywhere, dude. Just like I'm folding out.
Anyway, it's like it's all about expectations, I think, right? So it's like the first viewing, everyone has this idea of who Quentin Tarantino is and what a capital Quentin Tarantino movie is, and you see this movie, and it's very just like, you know, nonchalant, very kind of like over the place, kind of like cut tos and like flashbacks and like quick gags and stuff, that's just very much more focused on like this character development, but like there's no plot thread, there's no huge quest for revenge, there's no bag of diamonds, you know what I mean? There's none of this shit that we're right, and there's like no violence. There's like, if you were at all familiar with history, there's like this threat of impending violence. Right? If you know anything about Hollywood in the summer, right? If you know the fall of 1969, right, and what happened there,
right. If you've heard of that, I mean, if you know the name Sharon Tate, and then what's wild is like, because of this movie, I looked into it, and there's so many wild things that happened that year. But
69 was a fucking bonkers year, man, in this country.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. And so, but I think there was a lot of male posturing, which was kind of it was kind of cool to see. Like there's like vulnerability, and then just like the like perceived toughness. Like I love freaking what's it, Cliff or whatever. What's his name? Who's Brad Pitt's character again?
Yeah, Cliff Booth, the stuntman.
Yeah, Cliff like has that fantasy that if he actually went on set, you know, to try to be like a bit part, to get a stuntman job, he would like fight Bruce Lee.
No, that's a flashback. That happened.
Or is that a flashback? That really happened? Oh, okay.
That's why.
So that's what I mean. In storytelling wise,
yeah. Because
it kind of confused me, because he was on the roof, and he literally like looks up, and it fades to that scene, and then he comes back to him, and he's like, probably, or something like that. He says something that's like
fair
affirms
enough.
that it would be
fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. And it's like, it just seems like something that would be a fantasy to him, but I guess it was supposed to be.
It's in his memory, so obviously the fact that he like throws Bruce Lee and basically totals a car has very fantasy elements within his mind or the movie, but like. Yeah, it's like he's not invited to set. He says earlier, like, do you want me to come with you? And he's like, no, Randy's on the set. And so, you know, you can't come. And he's like, oh, okay. And so he's like,
are you sure, dude? I feel like that was a fantasy. But
no, 100%. He's fixing the antenna. And he's like, fuck, I could be on set right now. But then he thinks back to why he's not allowed on set. And then he's like, yeah, all right, fair enough.
No, okay, whatever. It doesn't
matter. I promise you.
No, I see what you're saying. Either way, that's what I'm saying. Either way,
it could be like
it happened.
Embellished.
It doesn't matter how it doesn't matter how it happened. If that was true,
it's presented
true to what happened.
Yeah, it's presented as a flashback, but it's certainly it's in his remembered could be totally embellished,
I just think it is because how they portray Bruce Lee in that is like pretty like that was the thing that bothered me is every character in this felt like a Wes Anderson parody or something. They were really weird, like how he was glamorizing Hollywood and then kind of making a mockery of people at the same time. It just didn't feel coherent. I think that's where I need to watch this again.
Now,
I need to take a break and then watch it again because to me, I just felt like he wasn't capturing, like, it's like he was trying to glorify it at the same time as Bruce Lee seemed the kind of, I don't know, like dumb. It was like, seemed like offensive or something, but not like racially offensive or anything, but necessarily just more like he just seemed like a dumb idiot, blowhard or something. And I was like, that's so weird that he would take that stance.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some people say that, but it's just like, that's just a Hollywood legend. Who the fuck knows exactly unless you knew him.
But it's just weird because it's like Quentin Tarantino respects Bruce Lee so much that he fucking personified Bruce Lee's character in Kill Bill. And then in this movie, he's making him seem kind of like an asshole and a dork. And I it was weird to me to be like watching this, knowing the history like of Quentin Tarantino and be like, that was weird.
It's so good because it's like so I love it. I absolutely. So let me just break it down real quick. My kind of like journey, right? So first time I saw it, pretty much in the same boat as you. Liked it. Obviously, it was extremely well made. I had some issues with like pace and stuff in the first half, especially. The first time, I liked it, but I was like, oh, cool, and then I was like, oh, when it came out, I watched it again. I was like, holy shit, this is actually way better the second time now where I kind of know where everything's going and like the vibe of the movie and my expectations have changed. Let's just assume this is my third time that I watched it yesterday.
Yeah.
My favorite Quentin Tarantino movie, his best movie.
Wild. I mean, are you sure that's not just like recency bias? It's like,
dude,
because
honestly,
I'm trying to think I'm thinking like Kill Bill or Kill Bill even gets, I like that is edited flawlessly, but I think like even like Pulp Fiction where it's like, it's such a, I need to watch Pulp Fiction again, but I just remember how broken up it was, but yet it like all the threads come together and it like works perfect, where this movie felt like I didn't know what timeline we were in half the time.
Yes, yeah, I feel like I felt that way the first time, but like going around, it's like it felt really, really coherent to me this time. But yeah, I think a lot of it was just like, I feel like the way he structures his movies, like he was known for being weird with his film structure and continuity and timeline, right? And I think this does that. He like pulls it back a little bit and just kind of has it be more loose, which fits the theme and like the tones and everything. But it's like everything he does is just really showcasing his writing and directing specifically. Like, I think the editing and the cinematography and everything's all really good, but it's just like, I think his writing is the most nuanced it's ever been, with the most interesting and well-developed characters, two main characters anyway. But it's like in a setting, but it's also like he's kind of having his cake and eating it too. But you mentioned that like he's like making fun of, but also idolizing these people in Hollywood. And that 100% tracks for me to the point he's even doing it to himself, where it's like, I felt like by the time we got to the part where the Manson family shows up, it's so ridiculously graphic and over the top, where he's like slamming her head in the fucking fireplace and everything.
Right.
That it's
like
literally, I feel like Quentin Tarantino at that point, like it's so gratuitous that he's like, here's what you came for. At the same time, like making fun of himself for his like super violence, like, cause that's the only time there's really is violence other than like a little bit here and there. But like, it does feel like sort of tongue in cheek with itself. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's having the most fun in this movie. But also, it's just like there's so many small threads of show don't tell and great character writing that links into character development and character growth. That's the best in any movie, like character wise. Like maybe not the best plot, but the best characters and the best nuanced storytelling with his fucking directing, where he's doing some crazy shit in this. Like shit I didn't notice. Like there's this one shot I really stood out to me this watch. So It's during the fake part when he's shooting the Western, right? And Timothy Olyphant shows up, which I just finished.
Yeah, dude,
I just finished Deadwood.
cheered,
So
baby.
it's so good.
Yeah, no, like I saw his names in the credit, and I was like waiting for him. And when he showed up, I was like, Timothy.
I know everyone's fucking just randomly in this too, which is hilarious. But there's a scene in there. It's just so many small things that he's just like he knows what he's doing. But there's the shot they're about to have the shootout. And then Timothy Olyphant's character shoots behind his back, right?
Oh, yeah, that's sick.
And it breaks for that one shot, the 180 degree line. And it's
Yeah.
really kind of like jarring, but it works because it's like a trick shot in more ways than one. It's a trick
Yeah.
shot for the camera and a trick shot with the gun. And it's just like there's so many things like that I caught on this watch of like just clever fucking things where it's like, this is a master working. Like, I don't know. Like, that's why I'm like, this
and
is him.
But I
at his
guess
peak.
it's like because I guess I fall in the boat. I mean,
There's
I've
no
seen it,
samurai. There's no samurai sword, so you hate it. I know.
I think, I mean, kind of though, but no, but really what it is like, it almost just feels like a parody of himself. And that's kind of where that's kind of what's happened to a lot of our great, like even I will admit, as much as I love Wes Anderson, he's still an amazing director, but he's just kind of become a parody of himself. He knows it, right? And so they do get a little bit more deep and a little more meta with what they're creating because they know who they are.
Have you listened to our episode on Asteroid City?
On Asteroid City, right. Well, I loved it. I mean, that's the thing, and it's like
that's his most fucking ingenuitive fucking movie he's made in years,
right? In years, and I agree.
Style wise, you're right.
But styles, and I think that's where it is. It's like with Quentin Tarantino, I guess it's like, man, dude, I don't know. I didn't feel like, I think there's a couple things going against me here because Leonardo DiCaprio is not my favorite actor, and so I feel like he plays like the same character in all of his movies, and so I like him, and that's that kind of just that goes without saying. You can get that out of the way, but I don't think he brought anything too special. Like I felt like he did a little like Wolf of Wall Street in this with a little bit more like sadness, I guess, if you will, or like, I don't know. It's just kind of like, felt like
this feels like Tarantino's Wolf of Wall Street. I actually was thinking that too, where it's
right.
It's funner, it's looser, you got Jonah Hill smoking crack in it. You know what I mean? That type of movie.
No, 100%. Yeah. Like this is that movie where I just think it is. It's like, I guess what this is like, this is just a la carte of every other movie he's ever made. That's just why for my first viewing, I kind of feel like he's literally like, he's like an animator and he's just taken all of his scenes that he's already done and he put a new character on top and is just running it through again.
That's fucking disingenuous because there's no, what characters? Because it's like,
well,
he's doing what Quentin Tarantino does, right? He's like hitting the beats.
I think that's what he's
doing like the snapshots and stuff. But it's like, this is his most gentle, like, and it's cozy month, right? So it's like, I think
choosing this for cozy
back 69,
it does,
but like
with
it's
the
got a
thread
of impending doom that all of these movies, cozy month, man, cozy month's dark because it's like they've all had this imposing, like it's all gonna come crashing down. Like nothing leaves me feeling that warm and fuzzy. Like there's always the gut punch. Like First Cow wasn't cozy, but that's what set it off. But it's like fucking all of them.
But yeah, but it's bittersweet is what that's what I've been calling them because it's like they're cozy, but they're like bittersweet.
They've all been bittersweet.
I mean, yeah. Well, this like the reason I really liked this movie is because I knew the historical context of it, and so like I knew like a lot of the characters they shown like throughout. I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of know like a little bit of their trajectory, and like I totally like Quentin Tarantino, he clearly is, a film historian, and he's 10 times smarter than we are. And so like, I respect him on that front. And so it's fun to see him bring in characters that I know, like, cause like fucking Rick Dalton is like, he's your mixture of like a John Wayne and like a Clint Eastwood type, and I'm sure he's got like 10 other different actors mixed into who his character is. But for me personally, Clint Eastwood was the one I had because it's like fucking Rawhide is what he started in. And then he went to do spaghetti westerns and it's, that like Italian westerns. And so it just kind of, he has that same trajectory that like, I think just a lot more people in 60s, Hollywood had. Like, I think there were a lot more Italian directors making things in the late 60s and then clearly, through the early 70s. And that's through all the 70s. And so
Right.
I think
I
it
can see his.
it's fun to see the history in
Yeah.
this movie for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I get that, but it's like it definitely you could say that it's inspired by any big archetype, and Clint Eastwood's a good one because it's like you could definitely say that he's like a B version of Clint Eastwood, and he even says that is it working still?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. You said you didn't know how long it'd record, so he says it's like he even says Al Pacino's character is like fuck Sergio, whatever the fuck, is the second best director of a spaghetti western. So it's just like, he's this Clint Eastwood type persona that gets typecast and has never really got a chance to like move on to like being bigger and better things, like Eastwood being a director and shit and paving his career more. And it's just like, where for every Eastwood, there's 10 other guys that like Jake Cahill played Jake Cahill in the fucking Bounty Law, and then sort of dropped into obscurity, right? And did a couple Italian westerns. And so it's like, I don't know, you feel for. I agree. Again, first watch, Leonardo's doing Leonardo, right? And then Brad Pitt is always fucking hot and charming and likable. And he won the Oscar, so he's he's great.
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, I love Brad Pitt, so
he won the Oscar for this, and rightfully so, because it was surprising.
I'm a simp, dude. I'm a simp for Brad Pitt, obviously, like every other fucking human in the world. If you're a biological organism and you see Brad Pitt, you want to fuck. So it doesn't even matter.
I know. I'm like he takes his shirt off and he's repairing the antenna. I'm like, this guy's like 60. Like, get fucked.
Yeah, I know, for real stuff. Well, no, but I was really thinking. I'm like, he's not quite the Fight Club tight, so at least he's human. At least we're all human.
Slowly leathering,
Yeah, exactly.
But
no, it's like,
oh yeah, sorry.
Well, Kurt Russell too. Kurt Russell was like he was one of my favorite parts in this because I guess what this movie does is like every time I'm watching this movie, every scene that came on and there was a character in it that was in one of his previous films, I just would think of, like, I saw Kurt Russell and I was like, oh man, Death Proof is so cool. And like, I wish it's like, there's a character in this movie that's kind of like that character in Death Proof where you think he's really tough and cool. That's kind of what, like where Brad Pitt was like, he's not like creepy. He's super calm and he's like super collective. but he also kind of like, he has like a brooding force to him. And then you think he's not necessarily soft, but then he like fights the hippie and you're like, oh fuck, he's got some violence behind him. Where I love in Death Proof, they like do that where, Kurt Russell's character is like, he seems super creepy and like super skilled and violent, and he's this like stunt driver. But then when he finally gets caught, he's like whimpering and he's like, he's like, help me. And they like beat the shit out of him. And it's just, I like seeing all of his characters that he's used in the past. And it just makes me think of Quentin Tarantino films. And this is kind of just this is a nostalgia trip for him. And I think for his fans as well.
He outright says that. I mean, there's an entire conversation with Al Pacino at the beginning where he's just like, people see your face and they think Jake Cahill from your previous thing. And when this guy kicks your ass, they're thinking, oh, that guy's kicking this guy's ass, right?
Yeah.
And it's like literally about like relating to these past characters, because this definitely is, in a way, like Tarantino's greatest hits but like Tarantino's greatest hits with his tropes, with everything, but like set in a completely different setting. There's no, like, he's known for like hitman, fucking guns a-blazing, crime stories, right? Like he's known for that. So it has everything but that. And I think if this had been Tarantino's greatest hits, but with like more of a Tarantino plot, people would fucking devour it whole. But the fact that it's a Tarantino's greatest hits, but told through like this like weirdly slow paced story of just like a bromance that also, because it even does he does the fucking historical fiction aspect from like Inglourious Bastards, but plays within a way more interesting way. And I love, how much I love Inglourious Bastards, but it's like he plays with your expectations. The first time I saw this, I had no idea how it was going to end. I thought for sure, I'm like, oh my God, the fucking Manson family's coming to kill Sharon Tate and all those guys. How does fucking Rick and Cliff play into this, And the fact that it all spins around at the end, and in such a hilarious and goofy way. That's like that's the Tarantino good that everyone came
exactly
for.
right
To the
right,
point,
right.
it's like jacket. He's literally like masturbatory. Like, okay, add one more shot of him smashing the head. You know?
Yeah,
he comes out with the.
I'm
it's
there
great.
for it.
It's so good. But and then it ends with like the music, and then it's like everyone's happy and alive, and like there's so much potential for Rick and for Sharon and for everyone, and then it hits you with the Once Upon a Time, and like that was the hardest fucking title drop, because it's like you're brought back to reality. There, you're like, oh yeah, in real life this happened, but there was no Rick and Cliff in real life, and these people were all brutally fucking murdered. And
I know, right?
And so
it
like,
really did, like, it did change. I mean, it's not hyperbolic to say that incident had a large ripple effect on Hollywood.
Huge, dude. It ended the fucking hippie movement. Like, it basically ended.
I mean, well, I think Vietnam ended it, but I think that in Hollywood, in Hollywood specifically,
that hit closer to home.
Incident,
Americans don't have to think about Vietnam unless their sons are getting drafted. But in Hollywood specifically, like that hit, like, oh God, that's the fucking coming home, you know, and the disillusion of the fucking summer of love and everything.
Right. I mean that's what's crazy.
And that had huge fucking ripples,
dude. Yeah, and it's wild. Like, I mean, that's what sucks is like this is such a movie that does have, like, the more I'm thinking about it now, I'm like there are so many like true callbacks, or not even callbacks, I guess, but like true historical things that happened in Hollywood that I'm like, oh yeah, fuck, like when they think that oh my God, Rick, or whatever, and why am I forgetting their stupid Brad Pitt's character?
Cliff.
They're Cliff. They think that like Cliff killed his wife because like that really happened to whatever her name is. Now I'm spacing out. Where she was with was it like Dennis Hopper and William Dafoe, and they were on a boat and she fell off a boat and died and she drowned. That really happened in real life. And so like it's like there's so many. What the fuck's her name? If I could remember her name, oh my God, it's right there. Oh, what is it? Damn it! Somebody out there in podcast land is yelling it right now at me, but. I'll try to look it up as we're talking some more. But like, anyways, the amount of like historically accurate things in this movie blows my mind, and it really did like hit hard at the end, like where I was kind of like, I'm like, oh man, I mean, it, you know, who knows? Maybe, you know, things would have been different in Hollywood if like that scenario didn't happen. And it's like, but I'm also scared because, you know, freaking, it makes me also think of an even darker timeline where Manson got stronger or something crazy. I don't know. Right. But
no, it's, I don't know. It's like, even him doing that, it's wild, and it's fucking, I don't know. Like, there's so many things. I feel like this time I really noticed a lot more stuff. Like, I was always pretty lukewarm about Leo DiCaprio's performance. Like, I thought it was good, but this time I was really more noticed his like struggle. Like, they never mention it, but his struggle with his stutter and his character's stutter that he gives. And they like, there's a couple times like that's obviously why he's fucking his lines up, why he's so worried. And it's like, there's so much good character development. And it's like, even Cliff, first time I watched it, I was like, oh, like he killed his wife, like something happened and he snapped in the heat of passion and killed his wife on this boat. Second time I watched it, I was like, maybe he didn't actually kill his wife, or maybe he didn't mean to. This time I watched it, I was like, he took her out on the boat to kill her, got himself drunk to kill her, and he was miserable. And now he's the most carefree, chillest dude. He's just living in a trailer with his dog because he killed his fucking bitch wife that he hates. And he let get that. And so I'm like, this time I'm like, that's his character. And like, that's why he's so just like, I'm chilling. But also, I ain't ever going to prison, and I ain't going to let you suck my dick unless you're 18. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
right. Well, I think that's the thing. Yeah, is he already let his like dick control his life one time, and so now he's like, I'm not gonna let that happen again.
Brandy's the only girl for him.
Yeah, dude, I love Brandy.
She's the goodest dog. Yeah.
Oh, dude, and this was such a.
But even like,
God, this movie had so many crazy
show
things.
Don't tell of the building of the quote unquote relationship between Cliff and the hippie girl. They're like, he sees her 3 times throughout town, and there's no dialogue spoken until he finally picks her up. But there's so much relationship of like Cliff and Boots world interacting with like this real thing. And then
that's true. I do like that. I like it taking us out of the quote unquote fairy tale and putting us on the fucking streets of LA. Like that was nuts.
Yeah.
Dude, that was beautiful.
Dude, every shot of them just fucking speeding through the streets of LA. I love it. It's so cool.
I know. And it's funny. I usually, I was for a moment kind of like annoyed. It is Quentin Tarantino's style to do like a music drop in a car and they're driving, you know. But like in this, it didn't bother me as much when it was like the huge wide shots going through, and and it was nice because there were times where it like totally like reveled in what LA was, and it really like Van Nuys driving and shit, you know. It's like really dope stuff to see the history. But then like I liked when it just kind of blew by all the neon and stuff, and like just like what it used to look like, and it's cool. It's like it's kind of apparently they like Quentin Tarantino. He pretty much can do whatever he wants, and so he was able to like outfit all those buildings, like all of it's practical, and so a lot of them kept the facade too, because they were like, oh shit, well if you're gonna put this cool old fashioned look on, you know,
why
side of
not,
a building,
right? That's cool.
Why not? Yeah, keep it. Yeah,
that makes sense.
So
and it's
pretty
like,
crazy.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, because I'm like, so many movies get made there, they probably try to look timeless in a lot of areas, you know. But like, I'm like, there's no way. Like, I don't know how they got all that. I'm like, some of it might be CG. Like David Fincher style, but and some of it might be, some of the wider shots might be, but like that makes sense that he did that, because it's like he that's the thing, he knows he's part of that town, and so it's like he's simultaneously showing his love for not only Hollywood but like the machine that makes all the fucking movies that it is. Like he wanted to make this fairy tale, which what movies are, and just take you away, and fucking worked. I hope his next movie doesn't have any violence in it, just to see. Like,
well, that was, dude,
like
that actually was what I was thinking
critic,
before.
Like,
before the fucking ending, I straight up was like, oh, this is going to be his least violent film ever.
Well, it's probably.
True. Actually, yeah, probably still is. But like, if we're talking like deaths or something, you know, or just like actual violence, like it does have very little. And so, yeah, I was like waiting for, I kind of wanted it to be. And then when the violence happened, I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, whatever. It's great. But
that's right. That's what I'm saying. It's really cool. And it's like the build up to it is so good, because you're like the whole time, the entire movie is like this build up attention. If you know about like, you know, Manson and everything. And it's like the scene with him at the ranch is like super tense, but, it's like the payoff is so good, and then just Leonardo DiCaprio coming out with his flamethrower he's so proud of and just roasting her, and then Emil Hirsch being like, he's like, oh, you torched her at the end. He's like, yeah. He's like, I believe it or not, I actually have a flamethrower in my shed. And he's like, from the 5/5 of McCluskey, and he's like, yeah. He's like, I kept it. It's so right. It feels so good. I don't know. It feels so good. I don't know. I like Quentin Tarantino. Say what you want about him. He's a douchebag kind of a human being, but man, that guy can, like, I always forget because his directing is so flashy. I don't forget, but it's like I'm distracted sometimes that it's like about what an incredible writer he is as well. Like, he's such a good writer, director that I love it, man. Like, I don't know. Like, all his movies are good.
Right. I know. I mean, that's the whole thing. I can't
believe he's only made 9 movies. You know what I mean? Like,
that is wild. And it's like, he really like, oh man, I don't know. His relationship with the Weinsteins is kind of which honestly, like, is his biggest flaw. Like, beyond that though, he does.
It's fucking arrogance is his biggest flaw, probably.
Well, sure. Yeah. But I think that kind of just is baked into a lot of people who were successful in Hollywood.
He was arrogant from the get-go. He was arrogant when he worked at Blockbuster or whatever the fuck. But
yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, right. He
it's like, I'm the greatest screenwriter of all time. And he wrote True Romance. And I'm like, yeah, you are a great. Like, that's the thing. It's like, he's going to end with 10 movies. And he's going to be fucking, there's going to be college classes about him. And
I don't know, though, dude. Do you think he really will end? Right now, I'm going to go on. I'm going to say he's not going to end with 10.
Right. I didn't think so before, but I watched an interview with him a couple months ago. And he's set on it. I think he's set. I think he's going to end. But because he even says, I'm not directing any more movies. I think he'll probably, because I noticed on this movie, the first time ever, he's produced all his other movies. But this one, he had a PGA next to his title, Producers Guild, right? And so I'm like, oh, if he's like in the Producers Guild now, he's going to produce movies. Like he's probably, and he'll write books. He might write, but I don't think he's going to like write and direct another film. Unless he has like a weird Kevin Smith moment, you know?
That's what I mean. That's what I'm just saying. It's like,
will.
He's too young.
He's
too young. And like, I think that it'll call to him.
He literally
want to make something.
It might, because he's too good at it not to. But like, he mentioned in this interview, he was like, basically, he's like Kubrick, like he got out while the getting was good by like dying, you know what I mean? But it's like he died at the top of his game. I'm not gonna die. I'm just gonna retire at the top of my game and not have this slow downfall of making shit. Like he's like, I'm riding high. And he is. Like, obviously, this movie is pretty divisive. But, and I mean, I might have been a little bit hyperbolic. I don't know if it's my favorite of his.
Okay. That's what I was going to say. This can't be your favorite.
Well, my favorite's probably Hateful Eight, just because but that's the thing.
I think
all his other movies are your favorite because of style points. And I think the only thing this movie has against it is the setting is beautiful and it fits the characters and it fits the story. But for quote unquote style points, I just don't give a fuck about the 60s that much. But, you know, it's not like the cool Old West in a fucking snowy cabin. It's not badass World War II fucking revisionist history. It's not fucking cool hitman riding around in L.A., cracking wise. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have that cool, like, oh, he's so cool. Like, it is cool, but like in a different way that not everyone thinks is cool. Not his version of cool. He created what was cool in the 90s. This is what he grew up and thought was cool back when he was a kid. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And this doesn't really have like, I think this just doesn't have that strong, deep, like hero to root for. This is, you know, that's what this is just a more like subdued buddy comedy.
It is.
And, you know, it is kind of fun. And that's why I feel like it feels kind of more like a fucking Scorsese film because it's just the glitz and the glamour. And it's funny. He does time period movies, but like this is kind of one of his first, like strictly, I mean, I guess besides, you know, his Western pieces, but it's like kind of like, it's just interesting that he made like a true period piece. Cause it's like Jackie Brown isn't a true period piece, you know, like, you know, all of his movies are kind of set in this like timeless zone where this is like directly rooted to a legitimate, like
there's actual dates
thing and
times. You know what I mean?
And there's actual historical figures that existed then that root it in this, like everything, like the buildings have been modified, the cars, like, dude, he shut down the 101 in Hollywood to shoot all the replica cars on there, like fucking practical, because he's goddamn Quentin Tarantino and he's extra. That's
that's 100% accurate,
right? I think that this is an appropriate time to tell you it was Natalie Wood. She was with Dennis Hopper, I think, or somebody, and I want to say it was Dennis Hopper and fucking William Dafoe when they were on a boat together and she drowned. And it's like one of those things where you're like, God, who I can't find on her Wikipedia. I can't see who she was with.
I'll have to look it up because I like to imagine. That rings a bell, but like I like to Willem Dafoe. He's never hurt anyone, but I also might like him more if he like secretly killed someone. I don't know because he's such a sweetie. I don't know. Willem Dafoe's like maybe my favorite actor. He's top 3 for sure for me, but. So, and that's why I'm pissed that fucking Poor Things isn't playing here.
Oh yeah, baby.
Starting next
here.
week, it's playing at one theater here, and it's playing at fucking anyway in Sandy, which is annoying.
But
anyway, I can gush about this movie. I really think you should watch it again eventually. Give it a year or two, watch it again, because once you kind of know what it's all about, because I feel like that's. A lot of people don't like to rewatch movies unless it's like a movie that like a fucking crazy mindfuck Christopher Nolan movie where it's like, oh, I didn't get all the details in the twist. But I think it's just as important to not be focusing on where a movie's going and be able to kind of appreciate knowing where it's going and understanding like all the build up to it. Because this movie has so much good like foreshadowing and so many just lines that connect that I never saw to like someone will just drop a really casual line, but then there'll be a small facial reaction from Leonardo DiCaprio that's like that relates to his struggle in a way I never noticed. Like there's
cool.
There's so
I'm
many,
excited for that because
so many
I
things
did
that
like
where I'm
his
just
character
it's so written,
in this.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
I guess it's one of those things where I'm like, I feel like he plays the same character all the time. And so and that's my own bias. And so I need to like, I'll come into this next time, like understanding that like he's playing this character. And cause I know he's a very talented actor, obviously, like, and he works really well with this director. So like, I'll see, you know, how he takes direction.
It's
well,
so weird because you're right though. Like,
he is very typecasted and he's got like some subtleties, but I feel like he doesn't have much range. Like it's weird. Like I feel like he's a good. I mean that's why he's that meme where his eyes are just kind of his eyebrows. You know, he does a lot of good like menacing squints, but like his broad acting doesn't really quite exist. Like he gets angry pretty well, but
see that's the thing. It's like I kind of agree with you because I know a lot of people were sort of ragging on him for Killers of the Flower Moon most recently.
Oh my God, but I loved him in that actually, which is so funny, right?
He's fucking crushes it, and there's no doubt he gets another nomination this year.
I guess because he does kind of play a different character in that a little bit, actually.
He does sort of. He's like more of kind of a dullard.
He plays like
but that's the thing about, I think that people get hung up on is they get hung up on like the big outward stuff, and that's always how it is with acting. So it's like in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, people get caught up on all the big emotional scenes and him freaking out in his trailer and being like, God damn it, I should only had 4 or 5 whiskey sours. I had to have 8 whiskey sours, you know what I mean? And it's so great, so funny. But it's like you don't, like I said, I didn't notice all the shit. There's so much smaller, subtle shit that he does throw in there that I'm
I was going to say, my favorite scene with him.
It's I don't know. You don't notice it as much.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if this is my favorite, you know, I'll go first, but favorite scene might be between him and the girl, the girl actress, like when he like goes to like talk to her, like there's such a like honesty in it and like a vulnerability that I really I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I loved how smart she was too. That was super fun. And so
like she's being really nice to him and he's like, oh, you're right, like Pumpkin Puss or whatever. And then she's like, I don't like names like Pumpkin Puss, but you're upset, so we'll talk about this later. Like,
right. It just seemed like it made me really happy because I was like, oh, that's a really well written scene because Quentin Tarantino wasn't just pandering and making this child show sympathy to him. Like she was like, no, I'm gonna hold, like, you know, she's like, I'm gonna have my boundaries with you, and be like it seemed like a real conversation. And like, it just felt so grounded. Like he was like, what are you, 12? And she's like, I'm 8. And I'm like, well, fuck, dude, she probably is like forced to have the maturity of someone who's 12 because of being in Hollywood. And like, you know, just, I don't know, in the 60s, I can't imagine children were treated very well.
Probably already molested like 10 times, which is so
well, kind of, right? I mean, that's we haven't really touched on that much in this. And that's fine because it's actually kind of cool. It's like, this is the second movie he's ever done outside of the Weinsteins.
Yeah.
And it's kind of trippy to be like, oh wow, he was really entrenched in that company for a minute, and he really distanced himself, and I feel like it, you know, I don't know. I feel like that is like that's something we will learn in another 10 years probably how deep it went, but I don't know, man. We didn't really talk about Polanski either, and I was like, God, if Sharon Tate lived,
he's
maybe
like
Polanski
he's
would
like
have
not
been such
even
a monster.
In it. Yeah, maybe.
But, right. And that's like, it's good that he wasn't really in it very much because I was kind of afraid. Quentin Tarantino loves Polanski, and so it shows in this movie. But it also like I'm kind of like I think he played it safe where he wasn't like Polanski didn't do it, but he's just like Polanski was a great director and still stands as a great director. And so
I mean, like
that's where
if anything, I mean, say what you want about Polanski and everything. Hey, I just realized I have a fucking. I was looking at the video. I got a Charles Manson thing right behind me.
Oh hell yeah!
But it's like Polanski, like, say what you want about him, but like this, where he says like, holy shit, that was the one scene with the minute. He's like, holy shit, that was Polanski. He directed Rosemary's Baby. And it's like, yeah, I don't think people really realize how fucking huge that movie was. You know what I mean? Like how big of an impact. And obviously we watched it recently, how fucking good it is.
Yeah.
But like, it's wild. I'm glad he wasn't in it at all because it's not really.
Yeah,
good.
Me too. But I'm glad that they didn't. Yeah.
An interesting choice. I mean, like a smart choice, but something again I noticed this rewatch, or I at least paid more attention to. I always notice it, but it's like, there's the scene when he's imagining himself playing the Steve McQueen bit in The Great Escape. And it's very short where he's like imagining that's what it could have been. And it looks great.
And you say imagining, dude, I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be his test footage that he did for the movie. This is where I'm getting at, where like, I think the movie's I think it's hard to tell what is fantasy and what truly happened in real life. In the fictitious world of the movie Once Upon a Time in Mexico, or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
You're saying that, and I'm not disagreeing with your sentiment of not knowing what, because it's all very like rose-tinted glasses. But I'm saying you watched it on your phone. It's 100% of his fantasy in this instance.
Okay, bud. I don't know, man. I'm going to watch it again. I'll fight you on that.
There's specific dialogue where he says, I didn't meet a single person in the movie. I didn't meet the director. I was on a list, allegedly, of a name of 4 other guys.
Buddy, I think he was trying to be modest because he didn't get the part and he feels really bad about it. All right, pal. We'll just agree to disagree, bud.
And
this is our most divisive episode right now.
I knew it was going to be like this because you have the same opinion as everyone else. Watch it. Wait until you get on my level, sir.
Yeah, sure, buddy. You don't even know what's happening. You don't know what's fantasy and what's reality.
I honestly don't. I think you're a figment. You're my Brad Pitt. You're my Tyler.
Well, yeah.
Durden.
Oh, dude. God, baby. Of course I'm your...
Take your shirt off. You look just like him.
Yeah, bud. Yeah, I got Brad Pitt body, baby.
No, my point was it looked really good, right? And they'd done it before, but then in the scene with Margot Robbie going to the theater, which was such a cute little scene, she goes to the theater and she watches her movie and she's all excited and stuff. But it's like they could have easily made it to be more immersive for a newer audience. Margot Robbie, they could have obviously digitally added her into the movie like they did with Leonardo DiCaprio in The Great Escape. But all that footage is the actual footage of Sharon Tate in the movie.
Yeah, right. I mean, and then that goes deeper.
It's tasteful, though. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. It's a deliberate, tasteful choice.
Because so the thing about this movie that the little research I did before is I found out that he didn't talk to Polanski about this to get his permission.
Fuck him.
But
he talked to the Tate family, though,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly, 100%. So he talked to, I can't remember, Diane Tate, I think is her sister or something like that. But she's still alive. And so she gave a lot of wardrobe and jewelry and personal belongings of Sharon Tate that was in that.
A lot of people, they don't see the forest through the trees because this paints Sharon Tate in a very favorable light where you feel, even if she died, like 30 years before we were even born.
Right. And she died at like in the height of her, or, in the middle of her career.
She's a massively pregnant, likable woman, in the fucking rising star with like this meteoric rise, and fucking brutally murdered with her blood sprayed over all the walls. But it's just like, that's what makes the ending hit so much harder too. Cause it's just like,
I agree.
It takes you to a place and then you're like, nope, that's not what really, it does kind of remind you in a way where it's like, I don't know.
It's like the end of First Cow, where you know they're gonna die at the end, but you're kind of like you're waiting the whole time, because that's the whole time in this movie. I was waiting because I knew that it wasn't. I didn't know what was gonna happen, but I knew it wasn't gonna be. I was like, oh, I know Sharon Tate dies with her friends at the end at night, and so all the day shots, I was like, he's not gonna kill them. He's not gonna kill her now because it's daytime. Yeah. But then I was like, well, he might change it. Like I kind of the whole time I was like, I knew this was gonna be like his Quentin Tarantino's altered universe type of deal.
That's what I like. It's like it takes a historic event and it makes it so personal, and that's why I think these, like the change he made. Like, I love Inglourious Bastards. But that one's like, what if we shot Hitler in the face 1,000,000 times in a movie theater? Like, it's cool, and it's all the Quentin Tarantino good you want. But this movie is like these two best friends, and it's like their journey of like becoming, like, he doesn't call him a friend until the very end. He's like, wait, Cliff, you're a really good friend. And he's like, I try my best, and it's like, it's so good. I don't know. It's so good. Like, it's everything about it hits and like connects in a way. Like, I get all the complaints. I 100% get them, even if I feel like they're blown out, because they are more glaring. I feel like what really works in this movie is more subtle, where it's just like the things that are glaring are on purpose, but like I don't know. it's not even that you look past them. You realize that like, oh, those things that I thought sucked the first time I watched it, I was actually wrong. They're actually great. Is how I feel now. Because I was with you.
Yeah, let me watch it again.
I was like, Letterboxd, if we're going by that metric, first time I saw it, I'm like, probably 4 stars, right? I like it quite a lot. I can't give it 3.5 stars because that feels low, but like 4 stars solid, right? Now I'm like 5 stars. Easy.
Okay. Then I think that's it. Yeah, I'll just have to watch it again.
No, I mean, that's just my opinion too. There's someone out there probably being like, Levi, you're a fucking idiot. I've seen this movie. I hated it, and I hated it more every time.
Yeah.
But one other thing I got to mention is the amount of bare feet in this movie. It does feel, same with the violence. It feels like, oh, I got a foot fetish? Fuck you. Here's my foot fetish. Even the guys don't wear shoes. You know what I mean? And it's just I'm going to have feet. I'm going to have 100 feet, and they're all dirty.
Well, I think and I also think, like, it's a comment on that, like, free love. And it truly is. Like, I was researching it, and Sharon Tate, like, when she would go to the movie theater, she would take her shoes off. So it's like the fact that she takes her shoes off in this movie, it's kind of like that is also a historical point, you know? And so it's kind of one of those things where it's like it actually kind of works to his advantage. But yes, it definitely is a little gratuitous.
See, I feel like Sharon Tate, most women in Hollywood wouldn't spit on me, you know? But I feel like if I met Sharon Tate, like, she would have been nice to me. I don't know. Like,
I know.
I feel like she would have been nice to me. I'm like, look at me. I'm a fucking lowly peasant. Like,
yeah. I mean, she would say hi. I'm sure she was pleased with her fame and, you know, excited about it. And I do like Margot Robbie's take on that. That's really cute when she's at the theater and she's like, that's me. I'm in the movie. You know, it's like, yeah. But you want to do a Reddit and I'll tell these fine folks how much money this fucker made?
Sure.
It's as much as you expect because it's Quentin Tarantino and he can always pull in money, which kind of blows my mind because it's like he really is like the wet dream of Hollywood because he's an auteur that makes hundreds of millions of dollars. So
yeah, writing and directing his own shit that's somehow niche but also extremely like accessible. It's weird.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to think like Gen Z to get. Let me get like Fox News on you, but like Gen Z watching this movie, like I'm barely hanging in there. And so like I can't imagine a younger generation hopping on, but this movie made a fuck ton of money and kids like, you know, young folk.
Well, that's the thing.
Like it. I know it's got a resurgence, I guess. Hippies are always in vogue.
The first time I saw it, I'm like, "Oh, this is so much a love letter to the 60s." This time, I barely noticed it. Barely.
That's okay. I agree. The whole time I'm watching this until certain actual like 60s things happened, I kind of was like, I was just in it. I was it's because it's Hollywood. So kind of you don't, you know, the time periods do blend. And so like, but it just, this isn't quite Quentin Tarantino where he masks what genre or what time period.
No, yeah. He leans the fuck into it hard. And it's like, when Rick comes back from Europe and he's got the fucking longer hair and like the heeled boots and everything. It's
I love how he talks about like all the pictures that he did in Italy because that's so like, dude, like the fact that they crank movies out so fast there, it's so I love it.
Four movies in 6 months, and it's like there's the shots of him. And he's like the narrator.
he's tired in the back.
Kurt Russell's the narrator also, you know, and he's like,
"Yes, I know, baby,"
which is awesome because I love it. It's just like popping in every now and again. He's like he couldn't handle the Tower of Babel style filmmaking of Europe.
I know, right? The Babel, yeah. Well, dude, I thought that was Ray Liotta at first. With the first flashback narration that they did when he's like, that wasn't true. Yeah. Rick crashed his car. I swear to God, that sounded like Ray Liotta. And then later, I was like, well, that's Kurt Russell. I'm like, did they do him at first and then Kurt Russell later? But anyways, I'm gonna look it up because it's driving me. Right? It's driving me nuts, dude. But anyways, because that would really be true to form to a Scorsese if he's homaging Scorsese. But this movie was a $90 million movie, which it shows like he literally changed the face of a city for it. So
which is crazy to me though. Still, that this movie has so much production value that it's like $90 million is a lot, but it's like
I know, but
every fucking Disney, Pixar, and fucking Marvel movie is like $250 million. Like, it's crazy that
right.
this costs like a fourth of what Avatar 2 costs. You know what I mean? Like that like $90 million seems conservative, even though it's a fuckload of money.
But it's got to be his highest one, right? I'm just assuming.
Yeah, probably.
It has to be. I can't think of
Django. Maybe is probably close.
Yeah, right. Django might be 100, but
Django's got so many locations where it's like Hateful Eight, the time period stuff, but it's all one location. Well, mostly one location. That's the best part about westerns. There's so much shot outside, you know. How much did it make?
It made $377 million.
That's Quentin. Like, and honestly, this is like this is his most divisive movie, I think, because it's like either you think it's a masterpiece or you really, really didn't like it most of the time, right? But it's like people are all over the board where it's like movies like Death Proof. It's like most people, it's not that divisive. Most people don't like it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I think with time,
and they're wrong.
With time,
they're really fucking wrong.
People have come around with time. It is probably still one of his weaker movies, obviously, but it still rules. I actually want to watch it again. We should watch it. We should watch. We should watch both Grindhouse movies next to Horrortober.
I know we should. Oh my god, why haven't we done that yet? That's totally. And
watch we're idiots. Yeah,
watch,
we're idiots.
Watch Grindhouse like it's originally like God intended it with
did you
Planet
see
Terror,
Grindhouse that way with
the trailers. Dude, honey, I worked in a movie theater when Grindhouse came out, and I've watched Grindhouse like 50 times in my life. I love Grindhouse, and I love Death Proof.
You got me a fucking Planet Terror poster, actually.
Yeah, dude.
Because I
loved it.
went and saw it too. So
yeah.
Anyway, I'll read the Reddit and then we'll wrap it up because we're going pretty long. But
I know, right? I gotta go get some pizza.
Oh yeah. Well, you're not allowed to leave.
COVID pizza. I know it's in the. She's gonna put it on a stick and hand it to me.
She's gonna smush it under the door frame.
Yeah.
You always got an excuse to get out of here. Now you can't walk your dog. You're like, I got pizza. I got door frame pizza.
I know. I got pizza. Yeah. I always got something. Carpet pizza, baby.
Anyway, so Old Reliable. I appreciate you. Clones for People 2 says. It took me a while to warm up to this, and I almost felt bored during the first 45 minutes. But the more I watched, the more I enjoyed it. I was expecting more of the Tarantino hyper style and was surprised at the slow build. Brad Pitt was a joy to watch and played his part so well. The film was best when he was on screen, and my favorite scene was in the hippie commune when he went to check on George. It felt like a horror film. I enjoyed some of the touches that linked it to the wider Quentin Tarantino verse, especially mentioning that Dalton starred in a film directed by Antonio Margheriti. So good, I know.
Yeah,
the final act was my favorite, although I think it went overboard on the graphic violence, even if the flamethrower bit was great. Overall, it was good, but I think I'll grow on me with another watch. 8 out of 10. That's 100% what I'm saying.
I love it.
Everything,
and the thing,
I agree 100%. All with that.
I love how red apples are what keeps all this universe like tightly knit.
Yeah, what's the name of the dog
cigarettes,
food?
Baby?
I love the brands that he makes. It's
Wolf Tooth.
Yeah, Wolf Tooth. Yeah, it's fucking cool. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. His brands are cool.
I know. It's fun. I mean, he really, that's where it is. It's like Clint or fucking Kevin Smith does that too, and we love it. We love like universes. We love when they keep up. I mean, that's what Marvel's doing right now.
That's
keeping
why
everyone together.
Everything nowadays needs to be a fucking built-in universe. But these guys, Tarantino and Smith were doing it earlier on, man. Just because.
Well, and I love how they were doing it. They were doing it out of dramas that were that are like.
And it doesn't even really matter. It wasn't even like that intentional. It's just like. Yeah, this is like the same setting. Why wouldn't I? Like,
well, let's use a fictitious director that I used in one of my old movies in a movie about directors. A movie with directors. I love it.
That scene at the ranch was really super tense and very horror-like. I know his next movie won't be anything, but it's like I would love to see because a real Quentin Tarantino horror movie. Death Proof is not a horror movie, but.
No. Oh no, I would never call that a horror. He can't commit to a horror.
I know. That's the thing.
It sucks because he could do one. He could do one so good. I don't know.
I imagine his horror movie would be fucking sick. I don't know, but yeah, he can't.
But it also like
you can't make it 2.5 hour long runtime horror Quentin Tarantino horror movie. Like
I think we gotta watch Thanksgiving. That'll be like the closest things. Like an Eli Roth kind of. He's a Quentin Tarantino horror wannabe. So
yeah. That's true. He wishes so bad. He was like, please, guys. Please.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him. Eli Roth has always kind of sucked, but I root for him because it's.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I'll watch Thanksgiving.
He's a
for
cool
sure.
dude, and he's such a good horror fanboy. Even though I really like Cabin Fever. But that's
right. Yeah.
That got cut from the Horrortober list this year, but it's making it on next year.
Totally. I mean, and I want to see like whatever, what a Green Inferno or whatever, because it's like I've heard it's terrible, but I also like I want to watch it for myself because
watch it, but go watch Cannibal Holocaust again instead.
I know, dude. I love how like everyone in the world hates Cannibal Holocaust.
Me and you,
we're totally,
I'm gonna get you and
we'll
Patrick. He's got a Cannibal Holocaust T-shirt.
I know. Yeah, so, he's the one who showed me Cannibal Holocaust. So
same. Same. So
yeah.
Anyway.
All right,
thanks.
Guys.
So that's Once Upon a Time Hollywood. Tell us what you think. If you haven't watched it for some reason, you made it this far, go watch it and come back and tell us. I still see old posts. Every now and again, I'll get a fucking comment from like 2 years. Like somebody just commented on like a 2-year-old post the other day. I still see them and I still appreciate it. So come back. That's the beauty about these. You don't have to, you can watch the movie and be like, oh yeah, I've seen that movie, and then listen to the podcast, right? Years later. But we got one more. It's Christmas next week. We got one more cozy movie. And I didn't know for sure it'd win. I joked last episode how I was going to stack the poll to make it win. I didn't necessarily do that, but I'm glad it did win. It's because it's...
I mean, it won, and it won like fast too. It's like when I went to vote, it was already like 3 or 4 votes in. So
everyone who's seen it sees it's really good, and everyone who likes movies has heard it's good. And it's super recent, so I think that's all the things. But so next week we're watching The Holdovers, the new Alexander Payne movie with Paul Giamatti's wet eyes.
I know Paul Giamatti's bald. Like I don't know if he's truly balding or if he just plays balding characters.
No, he's definitely dude. He's definitely got to be balding because he's got
to be, right.
He's looked like his eyes about to fall out of his head and his skin is melting off of him. Like that scene from RoboCop since Sideways. You know what I mean?
I know.
And he was like 30.
In Sideways, I couldn't tell if they thinned him. They thinned his hair in Sideways or if he's just natural.
No, there's something about I like Paul Giamatti, and he hasn't been around in a while.
Yeah, me too.
I'm looking forward to this. It's a Christmas movie, it takes place in the Christmas time. Alexander Payne's got a vibe. So let's check that out. We may or may not be back right at the beginning, and I don't know. We'll see.
Right. We'll see when we record it. But go out and watch it, folks.
Yeah, holidays are busy, so watch it over the holidays, and we'll get to you. So.
All right. And if you want to give us a Christmas present this year, join our Patreon.
Yeah.
You can go to patreon.com/cult of cinema knowledge, baby. You can find us on there.
As soon as a stranger joins our Patreon, Jordan will get much better about doing stickers because he'll have to do it for that stranger. Right now,
that is true.
It's like our friends and family, so it's just like, we'll get them eventually.
No, everybody out there right now, I have like 50 stickers coming, so you will all get your your goodies.
My mom wants to put them on her snowboard rack, she says.
Okay, dope. Well, you've got them coming.
I said, you gotta pop them all over your snowboard gear and pimp us out at the ranch. What is it? The resort? Where do they snowboard? The reservation?
Church? I don't know. Where do you snowboard?
What is that called? Oh my God, I'm dumb. Anyway,
Brighton? I don't.
Well, yeah, that's whatever they go.
I don't know if you can snowboard in Brighton. All right, folks. You have a great night. Can you? Are you sure? There's one of them. Snowbird. I think you can't. You can't snowboard at Snowbird.
No, you can't.
Or is it?
You can snowboard at both those places, buddy.
Alta? I don't know. There's one of them that you can't.
Alta, maybe. Definitely, you definitely can at Brighton and Snowbird. Anyway,
all right, you guys, Utah Facts.
Thanks for listening. You've been another episode of Utah Facts. We had
thanks for subscribing.
Worst air pollution in the nation this week in Salt Lake. So,
hell yeah, number one.
So if you come, it'll be really good for your COVID.
Yeah, nice, dude. I can't wait. Yeah, I'll slurp it in.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Good night. Go away.